No, I was not born here. I refuse to claim to be born here. I'm not born here. Like, I love the fact that my parents went through that journey and they survived it.
Do you know the trope? When growing up, were you told, if you're lost as a child, go to a black woman, not anybody else? And I think it's that thing, that revolutionary aspect, that activism aspect that they'll fight for. Do you know what I mean?
Migration means that you lose that social mobility, what you wear, so the identity you take with you. There's all these negative things that people think that you're taking something away. Well, we actually left a whole world of land ownership and houses because we weren't safe.
I am, and in many ways have always been, an immigrant. I may owe my existence to colonialism, but I was the first post-colonial child in my family, the first one to be born Angolan. As civil war struck, my parents and I fled to Portugal. I guess technically we were refugees, but the former motherland never labeled us as such. We were instead returning. The sense that I'd come from somewhere else was not just ingrained in my identity, but also something life would never allow me to forget. I moved to England at a time in history when doing so was essentially moving from one area of the European Union to another. I have now lived here longer than where I was raised, that place where my thoughts were shaped. Life still insists on reminding me that I come from somewhere else. My name is João Paulo Simões, and this is The Matter of Migration, a podcast where voices from elsewhere discuss the here and now, never forgetting what came before, so that together or individually we can reach a better place. For context and good luck, we're recording the second episode of the podcast on Friday 13th of June 2025. My co-host is Kaltum Osman-Rivers. Kaltum is a sociologist, researcher and activist whose work is deeply rooted in her journey as a former child refugee. Her research tackles structural inequalities across youth violence, family practices, health, and racial justice, centering the intersection of race, migration, disability, and neurodiversity. In 2018, she became the first woman of African heritage elected in South Yorkshire, breaking barriers in public life. She's dedicated to amplifying marginalized voices and challenging the systems that exclude them. Welcome to the podcast, Kaltum.
Thank you. It's good to see you again.
Well, I was just thinking about you actually not that long ago. I was watching a TED Talk with British-Turkish author Elif Shafak, and she was talking about the fluidity of words and the taste they leave behind. And she finished with the word yurt, which means motherland in Turkish, but interestingly also means a tent used by nomadic tribes. The inevitable poetic meaning of this is that motherland can be portable. So you want to tell us why I thought of you because of this?
I'm a nomad. I think we are global children. We all feel the nomadic in us. And because of the migration aspects of our lives and those that we connect with, we've connected in many, many ways than one in addressing issues of migration. You and I work together many times, and we always find the link to where we come from, the motherland, and it all comes to that. Probably that's why you thought of me.
A little bit more specific than that. I thought of you because of one of the documentaries we did together, because we've done a few already. And the last one, it was the weaving one, and part of the documentary was your dream of building a nomadic Somali house in Sheffield. So that's why I thought of you.
And we built it, didn't we? A small replica of it. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But in the documentary, it covers the ambition to do that because it was basket weaving kind of workshops. We talked about this documentary before in a previous podcast that we did. So we go back a long way in some ways. And I think you are the best person to introduce our guests.
Yes, what a privilege it is as well. Today we have Councillor Maleiki Haybe of Broomhill and Shire Vale, one of the youngest councillors who's been elected in South Yorkshire, I think. And also a mentor for young people of the city, but also Unity Team, and runs some of the projects. So he'll tell us more about his different hats. We also have Sahra Ahmed, who also wears different hats in our community, and both the younger generation of the Somali community brought up in this city at a very young age. And Sahra is the caseworker for the brilliant MPs in our city, but also is a counsellor, not in that sense counsellor, but counselling therapy, and also is the lead for a girls group called Broomhall Girls Group. Amazing young group. But they'll tell us more about what they do and how they actually connect, unite and support the communities across our city.
Since the main theme for this episode is to do with unity in your community and touching upon Unity Gym and the work with different generations and the work you've been doing within that, I'd like to ask really all of you, in fact, when we look at your community, we see a community that is very, very specific and seems very, very tightly knit, very together. I was wondering if you could share something that could perhaps challenge that idea, but also reinforce it in some ways, or how it has changed in your lifetime.
I don't know about challenging, because I think all I can think about is how we have always been that tight-knit. So when you think about when someone dies in the community, the way that everyone comes together. So I remember when my grandparents, when each one of them died, instantly the house was just full. We had people coming in. They took over the kitchen to make sure that we wasn't having to deal with the guests that were coming in. I can remember one lady scrubbing the walls, and I was just like, oh wow, I didn't realise my walls needed scrubbing, but thank you very much, I'm appreciating this. So they take it upon themselves to do stuff that is needed without you even thinking about what was needed in that moment. Because you're in your grief, they take away the idea of thinking about the little necessity things that you'd probably think about. I think that's when our community shines the most. It's all about taking away that burden and trying to ease your life. And I think even younger, I remember just being outside our house and ladies just come in for a chit chat, having tea together, and then that was their moment just to tell their stories about them whilst they were growing up, but also bring their problems, so like bring their letters. And even though we were children or young people, we'd take it upon ourselves because we knew that's what they needed in that moment, to read their letters for them and support them in that type of way. Whereas if you say to another community, oh yeah, it's to read letters for the old ladies in the community, they'd be like, oh, that's a lot, isn't it? But really it's not.
It's one of them ones where it's more of a sense of a duty. When you think of communities here, it's just people that live next to each other. Whereas in our community, it's, you know, a service that's essential just as much as fire service or the healthcare service. And I think it's deeply spiritual at the same time, where your input to your community also benefits you. Belonging, all that good stuff. You know, I'm not a child psychologist or anything like that, but this was figured out many years ago. But mainstream look at community just seems like a couple of houses next to each other, which it isn't really. So yeah, I agree. I wouldn't necessarily challenge the close-knit point, but I'd say when you're looking at what do you mean by close-knit, like I have a lot of neighbours who I grew up thinking were my aunties and uncles. There's no actual relation behind it, but it's that level of respect. And yeah, so yeah, I agree massively.
Yeah, I'm listening to Sahra and Maleiki, and the idea that's coming into me is the neighbourhood aunties and neighbourhood cousins, which is a term that I learned from our young people, because everybody's calling us aunties and we're like, okay, but all my children call them cousins. So I think they taught us a term to kind of pinpoint the closeness of the community without having the blood relations. In terms of challenging, what I would challenge in essence is sometimes the close-knit term is used as a negative. You know, they don't talk about, you know, they're secretive, they don't tell us what's going on.
They isolate themselves from
They isolate themselves. So while we have all celebrations of being close, as, you know, expressed by Sahra and Maleiki, but the connotations used by those services, such as either or the South Yorkshire Police or others, is to say, you know, they're so secretive, they're so close-knit. So it does have negative connotations to some extent when it comes to our young people as well. So if our closeness is also a lot more about the specifics of celebrating marriage and also supporting each other through other things that happen in our communities.
Yeah, still the role of Unity Gym has been very important. It's been one of the triggers for this episode because we got to know about it. Sam Holland, the co-producer of this project, proposed it and talked a bit more about it through you, Maleiki, in the sense that it played a role in addressing a problem. Do you want to talk about that problem?
Sure. You already know what Unity Gym is. It's a Unity Gym project, charity based, basically Broomhall, but also caters to a wide group of young people. And it started by tackling serious youth violence, helping those not in education or training. But it's grown to almost a mentorship program and a space for young people who probably don't have older siblings in the community. And it's brought that back where somebody who's older than you is also now your elder or your brother. We used to have those spaces many, many moons ago. And, you know, due to things like austerity and stuff, you know, it's been cut and those spaces were dying and there wasn't that formation between young people and brotherhood as well. And now sisterhood with Hafsa, how she's doing it. I think in terms of culture and this conversation we're having, it maintains those ties, but through challenging young people, through building them up. And I feel like that is a necessary component for a community because these will one day be the elders of the community. There was a recent passing in the community and all the old women were saying there's not many elders left to the young men, saying you guys will soon become the elders to an elder group of men who are not too old, and then the next generation also move up a slot. And I think things like Unity Gym helps retain that so that you have those ties.
And I think it also helps share the good. Because like when you're tackling something like serious youth violence, the limelight is this is a bad neighbourhood, they don't have anything going for themselves, and like, oh my God, look at how horrendous that they are and the chaos that they are causing. Whereas Unity Gym's like, actually, that's not what we are and that's not what our community is about. And this is the good that's in our community. And if you constantly shed a light on the things that are bad, then these young people are just going to think, oh, okay, well, the world thinks of us like that, so we're going to be like that. But what we're going to do is going to show them, actually, this is what you are and this is your possibility and your potential, and we're going to help you reach that, which is what society constantly tends to not allow or give the space for.
100%. I agree massively. And it's that thing, Unity Gym is, I guess, the umbrella for the young people.
Yeah. Can you just go a little bit into how your project, Sahra, intersects with it?
So Broomhall Girls Group is Unity Gym now. So it's part of Unity Gym project. It's a space for girls. Now we see like younger ones, so like from 8 to about 25 come. And it's a space for them to explore their identity, explore what their culture is, bring issues of what's happening in school, help them challenge issues that they're having and giving them a voice as well. It's a space for them to battle mental health, to champion their well-being. It's a space for them to be them, to be honest with you. I think that's the best way to describe it. It's a space where that they can truly just come and be themselves, and it's a space where they can be creative. For instance, one of the projects that we've done is the Lit Collective, where the young girls ended up making poems and creating a whole anthology of poems. That's something that they was told many times by their teachers that they can't do, and they have done. So it's challenging that thing of you can't do this. I think that's the best way to describe it, and turning it into you can do whatever you want to do. So you tell me what you want to do and let's make it happen.
Massively empowering then. That's great. Yeah. Kaltum, I saw a post kind of recently that you were doing something with Unity Gym.
I'm doing my doctoral research on responses to youth violence, so not looking at the young people as perpetrators, but also how youth violence is responded to and where the family fits into that. Families, but also the neighbourhood. So Unity Gym is a partner, so it's collaborative research, co-produced with Unity Gym, where I have advisors from those young people from Unity Gym, very inspiring. But also part of that is to highlight the overarching issues of how young people of the Somali community is perceived by services. And it's not just about services, it's about responding to youth violence is not about just somebody picking a knife. There are a lot of baked inequalities from earlier on, from nursery to being excluded from school to prison, to all the things that Unity Gym is doing. It's the way that we should be responding to the inspirational behind that. Is you just asked how the two groups intersect. And there's the mentorship that happens. There's sometimes the unspoken support from the brothers in the Unity Gym services and the sisters, young sisters in that, how they look out for each other as a community. But my research is listening to parents who have been affected by the way that serious youth violence have been responded, and the impact those responses have on the families and therefore the community, including, of course, in the heart of it is the young people themselves.
The matter of migration has been conceived and developed alongside a physical safe space in which the public can immerse itself. This multi-sensory installation has been designed and crafted by artist Liz von Graevenitz, informed by a series of workshops with specific groups, and will itself migrate between community spaces across the city of Sheffield, the original city of sanctuary.
But I don't know whether we didn't have bread in my house because we couldn't afford bread, but it didn't matter because I didn't need to know that. I knew I could go next door.
They might have 6 slices of ice and just rinse the white slices. It's not about 50-50 stuff.
Can I ask, because of the title of the series of podcasters, and my question would be, what really matters? What matters in terms of the work that you both do?
I feel like I've evolved in it, and what really mattered in it throughout, you know. At first it was like, complete radical, this community's been undeserved, I've had enough, I'm getting in those rooms. And then it slowly becomes, keep that element, but now it's like there's other elements where it's like, you know, as Muslims we have an amana, which is duty, which is like when you do things, you're not doing it for the sake of your own pride, it's given to you to benefit the wider community. So being a Muslim from that end, it's like when you do the work and remember that, it's no longer a burden more, it's also like deep-rooted sense of, I guess, commitment that you have to do. And I guess over the last year that's properly settled in a positive way. Like I really enjoy seeing it from that perspective. I
first started getting into youth work because I want to swear, but I don't know if I can swear. I was pissed off, sorry. You can beep that out if you want. Because growing up, there was so much stuff there for the boys, right? They used to go on go-karting trips and go to Alton Towers and like have all this like fun stuff, and then they had the youth club, and then they had like Zero office to go to and chill and sit down. And I used to get really jealous that space wasn't for me and I couldn't go, and it was that element of you can't be the only girl going, so sit your ass down, you're not going. And I was like, that's not fair. And why is that the case? And it was because there was no trust in the services for the parents to send their girls to these places. There was no spaces for just girls or anything like that. So then I was like, right, okay, I'm gonna start volunteering. So I started volunteering when I was in college still, and it was about how can we create spaces for girls, so then there's no girls that felt like I did in that sense. And then somehow or another I've just found myself in a world where I just do nothing but community.
It turns out that way, but it really does. And it's that thing, the girls were looked at, they're not as bad as the boys. The boys need the support. Yeah. But just because it was like visible support didn't mean the girls didn't need support.
The system meant that this is the funding is for everybody, but the system didn't think about, okay, what are the needs of this community? And I think now it is about that as well still. I think that's still at the heart of it. When I see the girls come in and saying, I want to be a lawyer, but my teachers turned around and said to me, I can't be a lawyer, that's when I get really angry, because I'm like, how dare they say to you, you can't be a lawyer, instead of saying, okay, let's figure out how you can be a lawyer. There's so many different routes of getting into a profession. It doesn't have to be that 1, 2, 3 step of the way where it's the conventional way. So why is it that we're only teaching them that is only that conventional way of things of doing it? If you can't do it that way, you can't do it at all. That's not true.
So in many ways what you're both describing is like a personal journey, and how that is a reflection and a reaction to your community and to your culture. But the idea of journey, so basically the idea of migration, is part of your identity, even though you've grown up in a very specific place. But I wanted to ask you, the previous generations, they're the ones who did the journey to come here. So how do you feel that, with the distance of 1 or 2 generations between you and that person that actually made the journey?
I made the journey.
I made the journey.
Technically. In my mum's belly, I made the journey.
That's true.
Terrific, yeah.
On the technicality.
On the technicality, I made the journey. So like when the war broke out, my parents moved back to Somaliland. We wasn't Somaliland then, but yeah, they moved back to Broaden, and then the war broke out weeks as soon as they landed from Saudi, and then my mum migrated. So during that period of time, she was pregnant with me anyhow. So I migrated, and then I was born on the journey to here. So I was born in like Mogadishu. I think we went back to Saudi. I still don't know the full journey. I've like had conversations about my dad of like where they've travelled to at different points and got like snippets of stories, which I think is just fascinating anyhow. And then we came here when I was 9 months, so I was a baby. And I will tell you this, I remember not claiming that I wasn't born here, because like when you're younger, they will say to you, and I'd be like, you were born here. And I'd be like, yeah, I was born here. And then I was like, no, I was not born here. I refuse to claim to be born here. I'm not born here. I wear my migration with trust. Like, I love the fact that my parents went through that journey and they survived it.
We need to draw a map of that journey.
I know, right?
Let's talk again.
Yeah.
Well, in my case, obviously, I'm the kind of middle generations because I'm older than them, like their mums. I was an unaccompanied asylum child when the war, as I was talking about, broke out. So I arrived on my own, put on a plane, arrived on my own, unaccompanied. And because my cousin and my sisters were living here, also teenagers, 18, 19, I was handed to them later on. Never went through the system of social services and that. That's the unity we talk about. So they obviously looked after me. But in terms of paperwork, I was an unaccompanied asylum child from the war-torn Somalia at the time. For me, the journey, when my children who are dual heritage and actually British white husband, it's a story that they also have to learn and the story that they talk about. And they actually feel very proud of the fact that their mum actually migrated here as a child. To them, it's migration. However we get to a place, it is us changing. But one of the things that was quite amazing with me when I got older was the kind of life that we left. We were the middle class families, and then when you come to a country, you become at the bottom of the barrel, where you're on social housing. So everybody's story, those who made it out, means that actually they could come to this country because they were the middle class families whose dads were working in Arabia, and then as soon as I think about it now, thinking as a sociologist, I think I was a born sociologist, but thinking about it is how the social mobility of my family changed, where I lived in a very deprived area of London, grew up in northwest London, Stonebridge, which was not really looked after very well, to the big land where our house still stands, and my family lived there. For me, it was just that migration means that you lose that social mobility, what you were, so the identity you take with you. There's all these negative things that people think that you're taking something away, well, we actually left a whole world of land ownership and houses and villas because we weren't safe. So I kind of battled with that a lot when I was younger, thinking about maybe if it's safe we should go back to our big houses. Which
challenges the whole stereotype that you see rising from a certain group of people, where it's like they've come here to... No, you've been forced out of your homes. 9% of people wouldn't have left if there was no reason to, and now they're here and it's like they had to focus on raising their children, and they were doctors, engineers, lawyers. Do you know what I mean? Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry, a bit of a rant, but it's true. So thank you for both of you for bringing that up.
Yeah, I've done a lot of work with refugees and asylum seekers through the years, and a thing that I observe, and it's been even a theme of some films that I did, is that the system that you find here is very intransigent when you're trying to get into work and use your skills, and also where you come from in terms of your family and your heritage that can be actually very rich and can be effectively rich, or could have been rich if you had stayed where you were. But the system here disregards all that, and they don't take into account previous experience at all. You're really completely starting from scratch, and because you didn't get that degree here, it's almost like it's worth less.
Yeah.
I think society is shooting themselves in the foot. And I don't know if it ever existed, but a program of people, like you said, what experience did you have, yada yada, prove it, and created a pipeline to then do that same thing here. Maybe the economy would be so much better. I think the positive ROI of that would be insane. But like you said, I think it's by design. There's a reason. You're telling me top analysts haven't thought about this. I think it's by design. it's that othering of people, isn't it? It's, oh, you got an education over there. No, that's shit. That doesn't mean nothing, you know.
But also like the current climate that just portrays migrants as the troublemakers, as the criminals, as the ones who are doing this. It's,
it serves the rich.
Yeah, it's true.
It's also, but it's so ignorant and so lacking in curiosity about these other people that had a reason to come here. And usually the reason why a lot of businesses and successful businesses end up being founded by immigrants is because immigrants come to a new place to succeed and to build anew. So it's just very concerning, obviously, and very baffling that this is going on, the current narrative.
Yeah.
It's baffling, but it also makes so much sense. People don't want to take accountability, right? Like I was saying, it's easy to blame a group of people. There's, that we're about to clock on our shit. The rich were robbing us for time.
Yeah.
Well, the rich will say, oh, no, it was not us, it's them over there,
Yeah.
And then once you do that, you just have to engineer people. It makes so much sense that the closer you get to realizing, oh shit, it's class and, ultra rich bumming us. Can I say that?
You can.
Yeah, you can. I agree with you, and
Just the last word.
I think it's separation. It's separating societies. Where you want to manage society and actually handle them is where you separate them. We've seen this in countries where there's a dictatorship. That it comes because you break the society, and I trust a working class person as a black woman to be on my side than those who are separating us. And if we were together, they know that we would be the more stronger of the group. Once you get that, governments cannot stand that. And that's that separation. We see it amongst young people. So if I actually see a young person, perhaps Malakai's age, and I'm going to talk to them about why are you rioting, within seconds we'd understand each other if we get the right dialogue between the two of us, saying it's not us and them, it's us and over there them. Where should be together.
Fact.
So you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's just how people are being separated, and I live in an area where the comments on social media is deport them. Every time I see something on my community, which is predominantly white, not everybody is commenting, but the comments of something that's happening even in the media, the Star, the Sheffield Online, anything like that, is deport them. Deport who? we are global children. Who are you deporting, really? But where do we deport them to? Nobody should be deported anywhere. This is the nobody should be deported. There's not that word bodies. Shouldn't even exist.
It's good to Switzerland where the money is.
That's the fun part.
No, it's true. It's true. The thing you were saying about like black women, do you know the trope? Like when growing up, were you told if you're lost as a child, go to a black woman, not anybody else? And I think it's that thing, that revolutionary aspect, that activism aspect that they'll fight for. Do you know what I mean? I just thought it'd be interesting just to throw it in there, because I think there's a 100% chance that they'd help you.
Yeah.
But bang on. Sorry, I thought.
No, that I mean, I feel like I'm a mom to everybody, even those older than me on the street. If somebody falls, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll be the first person to say, oh, let's call the ambulance. But I'll make sure that I sit on the floor with them. It doesn't matter what color they are. Gosh, I mean, I experience racial issues all the time, but one that really shocked me and kind of at the same time upsetting was when a close to a 90-year-old woman said that Muslim something other word I don't want to say is going to steal, you need to watch her, in a big shop in this city. That happened like about 5 weeks ago. The frustration is, what can you do to somebody that age? In fact, if she fell, I would be the first person to take her to the hospital, because that's how we're made. That's how we are. We're kind of like, we're the Mother Africa kind of hugging. But for me, it was just like surreal, because I'm thinking, actually, I care about you, but you don't.
I want to finish every episode of this giving the co-host a final word, but I think this particular episode benefits if everyone can give some final thoughts on what we've been talking about, where they want to go with what they're doing, whatever they want to say. It's your final thought, and I would like to hear from all of you, if that's all right.
No, I'm not starting.
I'll quickly. The climate crisis is real. You're probably going to be migrants if it, carries on and gets worse. So be careful who you insult, because you're going to be knocking on their door.
You're on an island.
You're going to be knocking on their door. One day. That'd be nice. Sorry, carry on.
It was final thought, not final giggle.
Sorry, final thoughts. Great conversation. I think when it comes to migration, there's so much positive elements to it. And I think having these spaces, having these conversations, you get to see those intricacies, that's the word, right? The details and like the purity of it and the beauty of it. And
I really enjoyed the conversation. I think people need to have more honest and open conversations about migration and hear people's migrating stories. I think that is an element that's missing. I think when you put a story behind someone's journey, it gives it more power, and you can see what struggles they've been through and the reasons why people migrate.
Oh gosh, talking about the climate change now. I think my final thought would be everybody is a migrant. No one is going to be deported from anywhere. But the enrichment to our societies in whether it's health, education, art is something to be embraced and be proud of, not something to feel negative about. And we're all global children. We're here. Let's not cut trees. Let's actually embrace each other and be nice.
Yeah. Right.
And if the message of multiculturalism seems to be failing, let's talk about plurality. It's all of us. It's all of us with our own identities, with our own kind of background, with our own personal history, but the history that we carry with us genetically as well. Yeah, it's pluralism. Yeah. Giving the final word. Anyway, thank you all for your time today. This has been really amazing, in fact.
Thank you for having us.
Yep. Definitely, thank you. And shout out Sam Holland.
And all the team.
And our great engineer. He's done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
The Matter of Migration is a Frontier Media production, co-produced by Arts on the Run. Recorded at Springtime Studios in Sheffield, UK. Engineered by Ricardo Lourinho, edited and mixed at Audio Vault Casa Premium, with sound design by myself, and final mastering at Rickmore Audio. This podcast and accompanying installation have been supported using public funding by the Arts Council of England, Sheffield City Council, and Sheffield Town Trust. Special thanks to Migration Matters Festival and all the community spaces that have kindly hosted the pod.